follow the money. This is the Capital Markets Show. We talk about Nigerian stocks mostly. It's the premier number one stock market show on radio anywhere in this country. All right, so what a busy week it was last week, and a whole lot to chew on. It's still the earnings season. You got a lot of companies releasing their results, dividend announcements as well, and we're going to be going through some of the companies that released their results during the week or made significant announcements. Of course, this show reflects my views and not the view of Nairametrics. It's purely for educational purposes and not an investment advice. We don't give investment advice here. Yeah, we don't. We just talk about stocks and my opinion on what I think about things. If you want investment advice, always reach out to your investment advisor or financial advisor. You should have one. Someone that at least you can always talk to, and I can give you very good expert advice if you need me. Sometimes you might need to pay for it. Sometimes it could just be free, or maybe reach out to a mentor or somebody else before making that investment decision. This show purely for information purposes. All right, now that is out of the way, we go right into the show proper. So the all share index was down 1.9% during the week to close at 106,538. I mean, we've been at 107,000 for some days now, for some weeks now. But I think stocks are kind of dropping for some time now. People are asking me, what's going on? Why are stocks falling? I'll get to that in a bit. But this is the second consecutive week that stocks have declined. Market capitalization is now roughly 66.7 trillion. Due to that drop, and volume also dropped 1.6%. That's trading volume, that is. We also noticed 58 stocks recorded a decline compared to 30 stocks that gained during the week. In terms of sector performance, NGX Premium Index for the big boys, was down 1.06%, largely due to Access Corporation, MTN, FBNH, and Zenith Bank. They all shed market cap last week, and that also induced the losses we saw in the premium index. For the banking index, that was also down 2.7%. Of course, you also had Access Corp in there, FBN in there, Sterling, Wema, Fidelity, all losing ground during the week. Consumer goods index also down 1.72%, largely driven by Dangote Sugar and Cadbury. They also recorded market capitalization losses during the week. Oil and gas index also dropped, while industrial good index was just basically flat. I mean, it did lose 0.01%. So it kind of looks like last week was a very difficult week for most Nigerian stocks. And people have been asking why, what happened, what's going on, why are people selling off? I don't know. Some have said perhaps maybe it's the Donald Trump effect, or perhaps maybe something else happening in Nigeria. I kind of feel it's investors essentially taking out profit. January and February was pretty much strong month, so we're seeing a lot of investors essentially taking out profit from some stocks that they already acquired. It also looks like there's some liquidity moves going on as well. We're seeing a lot of moves into the fixed income space, with a number of OMO and Treasury bills offering done during the week. However, some of those yields were a little low. I think the last Treasury bills auction fell to 17%. You all remember when I was saying Treasury bills was going at 20-something percent, 28, 29% true yield. That was like last year. And I was saying that is the last opportunity for you guys to buy. I hope some of you eventually got to buy those Treasury bills. Now, Treasury bills is at 17% and looks like it's going all the way down at the moment. So, ironically, you would think that if Treasury bills yields are going down, then stock market should be going up, because investors should basically just bring in funds from there to the stock market. But we're not seeing that happen. Rather, we're seeing stock market go down. Volumes have actually been going down for some weeks now. So now that we're seeing value also go down, then because usually when you see volumes going down, and value going down as well. Volumes have gone down first, and then value also following suit. Kind of looks like it's a sell-off that we're seeing from investors. Now, Nigeria is not the only country where we're seeing sell-offs. We're also seeing sell-offs globally as well. The U.S. stocks fell largely last week, of course, due to some of the announcements around trade wars or tariff wars, as some like to call it. Even though European stocks also turned out a little bit of stronger numbers last week, as the Europeans reacted to some of the tariff threat from Donald Trump. So could that have been what we're seeing in Nigeria? I don't think so. Some people have also alluded to the exchange rate also falling last week in Nigeria after showing ending a very strong February. Let's remember at some point we're looking at 1.5 to the dollar, but now we're seeing 1.550. Some are saying 1.560 to the dollar. Don't know what it is this morning yet, but nothing to panic really. Like I said, these things are just basically 1%, 1 point something percent. Also, well, maybe let's even call it 2% depreciation. We kind of think that the exchange rate would always oscillate this way all year round. We see that appreciation and depreciation occur all through the year. So, I mean, you just take your positions well. At the end of the day, what we're looking for is some stability in exchange rate. But stability is not a fixed exchange rate. You can't have the exchange rate fixed all year round. It's not going to happen. So you're always going to see those swings up and down. I do know that a lot of us want to see it a bit more predictable. We've always thought that the exchange rate should be within this 1.5 range. We don't want to see it go above that 1.6 range, because that's when you start to get a little worried. So long as within that 1.5, between lower than 1.6, I think that is some kind of comfort zone that we would expect to see for some time, except maybe something different happens. There were some data that came in last week, over the weekend. Foreign trade data came in over the weekend, and again, Nigeria's foreign trade numbers pretty much strong. We saw more exports compared to imports. We've also had our current account balances also pretty strong, and these are all signs that the economy is doing well on the macro level. Oh, I didn't say in personally, on the macro level, because the economy has to do well first on the macro level before it starts to do well on the micro level. And so we're seeing these indicators all looking good. I mean, there were concerns about the external reserves going down last 2 weeks, but I mean, from what we gather, these are just regular things. CBN has obligations to make, and so those obligations are being made. They also told us that we're seeing they're getting inflows coming into the country as well. We don't have our Q4 and Q1 2025 FPI numbers in yet, but I think when they come in, maybe we'll see that we are getting substantial foreign portfolio inflows into the country, which we all need. So, what does this all mean for equities? I kind of think that when you see stocks, share prices go down, it is usually a buy opportunity. It's usually one of those opportunities, one of those times you want to get in low so that you can exit high if you want to exit high. That's really how I see this thing. So, a lot of stocks are pretty cheap at the moment. I'm going to give you my own personal stock picks on Follow the Money Hot Stocks later on this show. Not on this show though, but I mean, Follow the Money Hot Stocks is usually on Nairametrics YouTube channel. If you're not following that YouTube channel, you better start following it now. Just go to YouTube and search for Nairametrics TV, and you can see a whole lot of financial content that we have there. A lot of fun stuff that you can watch and learn from. Right, so we'll go back to the top 10 gainers and losers for the week. Starting with the losers, we had Multiverse. Multiverse was lost at 9.74%. Red Star Express. Red Star Express is a stock that it's a delivery company. They basically deliver goods and parcels across the country. They are listed on the exchange, and Red Star Express saw 10% drop in its share price during the week. United Capital also saw a 10% drop in its share price during the week. I will speak to that at some point later on the show. Ikaja Hotel also shared 11.57%, while Caverton Offshore, they were in the news last week, if you recall, when I mentioned they had a very good deal. But I think investors have essentially digested that deal, and it kind of fell 11.86% during the week. Sovereign Trust Insurance also fell 13% during the week. Royal Exchange dropped as well, 13.3%. And FCMB also shed 14.15% during the week. Transcorp PLC, Transcorp released its results over the weekend. But before then, share price fell 17.72%, while Etana PLC was the highest loser during the week to shed 18.69%. In terms of gainers, we have Guinness PLC. Guinness was a major gainer last week, gained just 7.97%. They were also in the news. I'm going to talk about them the second half of this show. CNI Leasing, that's a leasing company, one of the biggest leasing companies in Nigeria, have been in existence for a long time. So if you're somebody who likes to invest or who likes companies that that are into leasing business, they're basically a finance company because leasing is essentially finance as well. It's been there reporting profits after profits year after year. Share price was up 8.1% during the week. Smart Products Nigeria PLC, their share price was also up 9% during the week. While Unicell Interlinked, they were on the losers side at some point last week, but we saw them close the week strong at 9.69%. Score, that's a penny stock. Well, Score, looking like Score is really no longer a penny stock because I think it's trading at 3 naira something these days. So they gained 9.8%. Learn Africa gained 10%, while Nigerian Exchange Group posted very strong numbers during the week. Their results were out, and I think kind of impressed a number of people, particularly investors. One of the best results they've had in a long time did push out during the week, and that helped them to gain 10%, currently trading at 33 naira per share. Livestock Feed, strong performer. This stock has been going places this year, gained 12.38%. While Union Homes Real Estate, I don't know where that came from, but somehow they found themselves in the top 10 and gaining 28.59% in 1 week. And of course, the top gainer for last week was Tantalizers. Yeah. Tantalizers is no longer that your food and beverage company. It's no longer that your fast food joint again. It looks like they're morphing into something else. There's some news about them getting into the blue economy, and I'm going to talk about it on this show as well. But they were the top gainer last week with 36.32%. So which of these stocks ended up in your portfolio last week? I'm scanning through, and I really don't see any one of the stocks in my portfolio except maybe United Capital. So I'm not really sure of any stock here that's my portfolio. But are there any stocks here that was in your portfolio? It'd be interesting for us to know. So just share. By the way, you can always chat me up. You can send messages on Nairametrics WhatsApp channel. Just go to the WhatsApp channel, part of your WhatsApp, and search for Nairametrics, and you can follow us as well, so that you can see some of our updated news. I'm going to be opening up a Telegram channel one of these days because I hear some people want to interact with me personally. So considering that, I'm considering because I'm not so good at WhatsApp like that, but let's see how that goes. All right, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back on the second half of this show. I'm going to be talking about Tantalizers, I'm going to be talking about Guinness, Seplat, and a few other companies. Be right back. All right, welcome back. This is Follow the Money, brought to you by Nairametrics. By the way, there is capital markets awards that we're going to do pretty soon, brought to you by Nairametrics. Of course, we're going to be giving awards to companies that have made their mark, or that made their mark in the capital market the whole of 2024. You want to watch out for that award. This award is purely merit-based award. Whole lot of companies, best stock of the year, company of the year. You're going to be seeing nominations like that. Mid cap stock of the year. I mean, think about that. Best dividend paying stock of the year, regulator of the year. So those are the awards. You're going to be seeing it. 20 awards, 5 honorary awards, 20 awards that are purely merit based. While we have 5 honorary awards that we're going to be giving in April, brought to you by Nairametrics. If you want to be part of this, of course, watch out for our promotional items. We're going to put up a lot of stuff during the week for those who want to be part of it. In case maybe you even want to attend the event, it's going to be a red carpet event at where are we going to have this event? Civic Center. It's going to be at the Civic Center in April. Coming up. So watch out for more information. Just follow us on Nairametrics and we'll share. And let's see whether your company is one of those companies that we're nominating and having a chance to win. All right. During the week, Tantalizers was on the news. Tantalizers said it acquired 10 modern fishing trawlers. When I saw it, I was like, Tantalizers, modern fishing trawlers, what's going on here? Are they into fishing now? I mean, I thought Tantalizers was like, that restaurant that you can go and eat fast food. But they said they've acquired 10 modern fishing trawlers from US based Queen Fisheries and Harvest Fishing. The trawlers are set to arrive in Nigeria in May this year, and it will support deep fishing and seafood exports, for Tantalizers. So Tantalizers also set up a new subsidiary called Tantalizers Fisheries to lead commercial fishing operations. This acquisition was backed, of course, if you all recall, sometime last year I did mention that Tantalizers got a 1 billion naira investment from Food Specialties and Bank League Africa, a private equity company. And so it looks like there's a lot of changes going on in Tantalizer. So part of Tantalizer's expansion beyond its traditional QSR, which is quick service restaurant, that's what it does, into fisheries and seafood processing. So this is Tantalizers getting into the blue economy. The blue economy was a new terminology for businesses that are into fishing or oceanography or ocean related businesses by the Tinubu administration. So looks like that's a major inroad for Tantalizers. And the GMD of Tantalizers, Rob Spiger, says this acquisition positions Tantalizers as a Nigerian multinational. Wow, calling himself multinational already with diversified business interests. Okay. And Queen Fisheries chairman Charlie Quinn says Nigeria is a valuable seafood source for the US. See, I kind of like the way that sounds. Nigeria is a valuable seafood source for the US market. This partnership secures our entry into West Africa's rich aquatic sources. So, pretty bullish news there because Nigeria does trade with the US, and Nigeria's traded with the US by Nairametrics estimate is roughly over 70 billion dollars or thereabout. It's down $70 billion over the last 10 years, I beg your pardon, down from about $280 billion 10 years to 2014. So it's still robust at 70 plus billion dollars. So let's even call it $7 billion annually. So one of the things that we're looking at exporting to the US is fish. So this looks like good business for Tantalizers if it does work out, and I guess that's why investors like what they see and rewarding it with the share price increase. Tantalizers share price has been up 336% in 2024, peaked at 2 naira per share after that 1 billion capital injection, but we've seen it also creep into the top gainers this week at 36 naira per share. So it looks like investors love what they've seen. No wonder they rewarded Tantalizers with that kind of return. So what do you think? Does this make sense for you? Well, personally, I kind of think that it's good to see them diversify. They want to be a multinational. They don't want to just remain as a QSR. It could also mean that maybe they're probably giving up on QSR because there's a lot of competition in that space at the moment. And if you've lost your allure or your competitive edge, then you might as well start to look at other areas of businesses that you can expand into. I just don't think 1 billion capital injection is enough. I kind of feel like this company might need a lot more capital as they go on if they want to compete with any other company. I kind of feel like that is what needs to happen. What's going to be? What are we going to watch? What is here to watch out for? Impact of seafood expansion on their revenue and profitability, their share price performance amidst global market trends. Of course, we all know that Trump is hitting tariffs. I'm trying to see how that works, and of course, AGOA, the act that allows African companies to export to the US at next to zero tariff. Will be interesting to see if that act is renewed this year. It does expire this year. We don't know if Trump is about to renew it, but appears to be a good move for Tantalizers. All right, during the week as well, Guinness announced, provided more details for its planned mandatory takeover offer of minority shares of the company. Guinness Nigeria shareholders as of February 2025 qualify for that. So what does that mean? Essentially, when a company hits a certain number of ownership or percentage ownership of a public company, they are mandated to make a bid for the remaining shares of that company. You don't have to sell if you don't want to sell, but it's just part of those things that you have to do. So that's why it's called a mandatory takeover bid. So they've launched it already. You can only sell to the current owners of Guinness, which is Tolaram, if you own the shares as at February 2025. So that's the only one. That's who is qualifying. Of course, deadline for submission is April 4th, 2025, 5 p.m. So if you haven't received the document by March 7, you should contact their registrar, Veritas registrars. So investors who bought to the Guinness after the qualification date can access the offer document online as well. So again, like I mentioned, it's just Guinness launched a mandatory takeover bid, but we did see this impact share price during the week. Share price gained modest 7.97% at 79 naira 90 kobo. So if you own Guinness shares, you might want to just have a look and check if this mandatory takeover affects you, and if the share price that they are offering is one that you want to take to buy. So again, mandatory takeover occurs when a company acquires a significant number of shares of another company. So in this case, Tolaram acquired a majority stake in Guinness last year, and so that is why they are launching this mandatory takeover bid. All right, so we'll move on to the next story here. Seplat. Seplat released its result last year, its full year numbers, and it was pretty strong. Seplat pre-tax profit was up 347% to 561 billion naira. My God. 347% up to 561 billion naira, driven largely by crude oil sales, crude oil and gas sales. Seplat has been one of the best performing stocks over the last 2 years, largely because of crude oil prices. Crude oil prices have remained at least above $70 per barrel for the last 2 years on average, and so that is impacting Seplat numbers hugely. Revenue was up 137% to 1.6 trillion naira. So Seplat has now entered that trillion naira club. Trillion naira companies that make over 1 trillion naira in Nigeria, with crude oil contributing 88% of its revenue and gas contributing 11.19%. That also kind of shows you the potential that Seplat has, because if gas, which we believe is probably the largest reserve it has, is giving it 11%, imagine what kind of growth awaits shareholders of Seplat. And they did, as of course, declare dividend. The final dividend was 3.6 cents per share. Recall it a special dividend of 3.3 cents per share as well. Dividend date May 8, 2025. So if you want to be part of this dividend, you have between now and May to buy Seplat shares if this dividend interests you. A little bit into the numbers as well. Cost of sale was up 171% to 941 billion. Gross profit doubled to 107 billion. Finance cost also increased by 200%. Of course, they had to finance the acquisition of that mobile upstream asset that they acquired. In terms of total assets, Seplat is now a 9 trillion naira company, 9.8 trillion naira company, almost a 10 trillion naira company in terms of assets. So post-tax profit after tax, 214 billion naira, up 163%. So what are my key takeaways for Seplat? Well, that $1.3 billion acquisition of mobile asset, which they call SEPNU now, has basically reshaped its fortunes, driving its record 1.6 trillion revenue. Now, let's be clear. They haven't even started factoring in the revenue from that asset yet in their numbers. So rest assured, this looks like a company's revenue that is going to just, catapult pretty soon by the time they start including that. They did mention that production jumped 11% to 52,947 barrels per day, or of equivalent oil per day, with proven reserves surging 85% to 886 million barrels. They said they have big targets for 2025. They want to hit a production goal of 120 to 140,000 barrels per day, mainly driven by, of course, the newly acquired asset. They do need around $300 million or so of investment in 13 new wells. So this is one company to watch out for. Of course, PE ratio at 14.7 times. I'm going to be talking about Seplat a lot more in Follow the Money Hot Stock, so you probably want to watch out for that. There, I'm going to talk about whether Seplat is buy, sell, or hold. United Capital also released their results. Revenue was slightly down 5.37% to 43 billion naira. Investment income up 82% to 15.5 billion naira. Pre-tax profits also up 74% to 30 billion naira, while post profit after tax 24 billion naira. United Capital is one of my favorite companies. Always had the stock for a while. Solid, business, solidly run by their MD Peter Ashade, doing some amazing job there. But investors kind of assigned a lower profit. Kind of dumped the shares. So the shares dropped about 19 naira per share during the week, and I think it was probably because they were a little confused about the return. This is one stock that has a total shareholder return of 178% in 2024 alone. And how do we get that? By the time you check all the dividend that they've paid and the capital appreciation that they've had. Remember, they issued bonus issued last year as well, plus dividend and then plus capital appreciation. That turns out to be about 178% return that you must have gotten if you owned these shares last year. And this is not just now, this is one company that has been posting significant capital appreciation over the last few years. So it's not even a blip. At the moment, the share price has fallen to about 19 naira. Maybe a little bit expensive for some people because price to earnings ratio is likely around 14 times, but that's United Capital. Dangote Sugar was also up, pre-tax profit up 149% to 270. Pre-tax losses, I beg your pardon, up 149% to 270 billion. Dangote Sugar struggling a little bit here. Nascon, which is also another Dangote company, also releases results, and pre-tax profit was up 14.9% to 23.6 billion naira per share. So that is it. At the moment for Follow the Money this today, part one. Of course, Follow the Money hot stocks will follow, but you want to watch that on our YouTube channel. It's going to air later today or tomorrow on Nairametrics TV. If you're not following, please follow Nairametrics TV. And of course, latest episode of our flagship Drinks and Mike show, it's up. You can always watch it on our YouTube channel as well. Lots of interesting discussion that we had on that show. All right. If you're not following Nairametrics, follow us across all channels. Anywhere we are called Nairametrics on any social media channel. This has been Follow the Money, brought to you by Nairametrics. My name is Ugodre, and as usual, as I always say, do have a profitable week ahead. Goodbye.